Men in Paris have been on strike for 17 days now due to pensions reform. The largest airship hangar, now transformed into a water resort. People at bottom. A German Jewish World War I veteran wears his Iron Cross, while an EZ soldier stands in front of his shop in an attempt to intimidate. This 10 troyos gold bar is filled with tungsten and covered in a thick layer of gold. Gold and tungsten have very similar densities, which means this bar weighs correctly and is the same size as a genuine gold bar. On April 28, 1988, the roof of an Aloha Airlines jet ripped off at 24,000 feet, but the plane still managed to land safely. Using a modified telescope, a friend and I jointly created the clearest image of the sun we've ever produced. This was captured on Friday and took 5 days to process using over 90,000 individual images. Zoom in. Lab-grown diamonds before they are cut and polished. A human versus dolphin brain. A man drank colloidal silver for over a decade and his scene turned blue. An American POW was nicknamed the Incredibly Stupid One by his Vietnamese captors. Upon returning to the US, he provided the names of over 200 prisoners of war, which he had memorized to the tune of Old MacDonald Had a Farm. Artists once turned stone into silk. Palestinian farmer holding a 117 years old proof of land ownership that belonged to his grandfather. Canophytum pagi, a small succulent native to South Africa and southern Namibia. Snow pinwheels, nature's warning sign of rising avalanche risk. A house with a mirror surface to not spoil the landscape in Gstaad, Switzerland. Zoo bus painted to look like it's being crushed by a giant snake. Some of the native Solomon Islanders, as well as Aboriginal Australians, have dark skin with naturally brown hair and were found to have no European descent in their genes. All these flies caught in a spider web. An anti-tank hedgehog in Kyiv with a plaque that shows that it's a World War II antique brought out from a museum. Steering wheels in cars have been getting thicker every decade. 1937, 1950, 1970, 1980, 1994, 2000, 2010, 2022. Over 1 million protesters calling for the removal of Macron. Pool of cave water completely isolated for hundreds of thousands of years. The top floor of Eiffel Tower have a secret apartment with 2 bedrooms with a kitchen, bar and a bathroom. An 8-mile-long canvas discovered in the Amazon rainforest. It contains Ice Age drawings of long extinct animals. Mast for a sailboat. When you think of overcrowding, think of this. China population is over 1 billion, whereas the US has only 320 million. Hitler didn't always have the iconic toothbrush mustache. He used to have a Kaiser mustache, but he clipped it to show that he used to be a World War I soldier, as they would wear toothbrush mustaches to get an airtight seal in gas masks. Engineers testing the strength of a car in 1939. The Rio Negro meets the Amazon River in Brazil. A German circus using holograms to eliminate concerns of animal cruelty. Actor Jason Lee, famous for his role in My Name is Earl and other programs and movies, used to be a professional skateboarder in his younger days. Here he is in a poster advertising for Airwalk. Just 11 years ago, on March 25, 2012, James Cameron became the first man to explore the Mariana Trench alone, the deepest ocean trench on the planet. He did it aboard the Deep Sea Challenger submarine, descending at a maximum speed of 9 km per hour. It took 2 hours and 36 minutes to reach the deepest place. A rare early 19th century photo of the Great Sphinx from a hot air balloon. This is before it was excavated and restored. A fabric womb made by Angélique Ducoudray, a French midwife who was commissioned by King Louis XV to reduce infant mortality. From 1760 to 1783, she traveled all over France, visiting poor rural women and sharing her extensive knowledge with them. It's estimated that she trained some 10,000 women. An incredible image of the International Space Station, ISS, flying in front of the sun. Norman Rockwell paintings in the 1940 to 1960s often broke social norms on race, gender and politics. His paintings were once hung up in the White House. Nothing creepy happens in the photo, it's just the way children's portraits used to be done in the Victorian era. A bagnak, tiger claw weapon, with curved blade. India, 19th century. Life cycle of a leaf. In 2018, a 46,000-year-old bird carcass was discovered deep within Siberian permafrost. The specimen was identified as a female horned lark that lived during the Ice Age. It is the oldest Ice Age bird specimen unearthed so far, in 18 to 17. Ancient chewing gum reveals face of hunter-gatherer woman through the DNA in chewing gum. Do you see tiny landscapes inside these picture jaspers? Massive volcanic eruption spotted on Jupiter's moon Io. This 3D printed digital sundial accurately projects the time onto the ground in a recognizable digital clock style. Spectacular view of Mount Taranaki in New Zealand. A mosque and a church celebrating Ramadan together in Egypt. Some reindeer in Finland had their antlers covered in fluorescent paint to avoid car collisions. The IRA, Irish Republican Army, on patrol in a northern Irish town in the 1980s. PFC Desmond Doss atop Hacksaw Ridge, where he single-handedly saved 75 wounded men and even treated enemy soldiers. He is the only conscientious objector to ever win the Medal of Honor. This billboard near San Dimas, California off the 71 freeway. Warning. This billboard structure is subject to a lawsuit. LASC case number 19-STCP-00488-2. Anyone who assists the city of Pomona in the demolition of this billboard structure will be sued. A now defunct 20 trillion Zimbabwean dollar note. The Mercury Streamliner on Tramtax, New York, 1936. This $11,000 guitar is actually brand new and part of a series. It has been aged by Gibson's Murphy Lab to look like it's been on tour. Severe drought uncovers sunken World War II warship in Danube River. Norway leads the world with largest average vest size. US ranks 4th. After US President George H.W. Bush said he disliked broccoli, here's the First Lady receiving a shipment of the vegetable shortly after, and 10 tons donated to Washington, D.C. area food banks. An amazing symmetrical reflection photographed by Steve Biro at the Canadian Raptor Conservancy. The size of stern tiger gun compared to a human. The Hoba meteorite, short for Hoba West, is the largest meteorite found on Earth, located in Namibia, Africa. It fell to Earth 80,000 years ago. Its mass following the impact is estimated to be 64 tons. It is composed of around 84% iron and 16% nickel, with small traces of cobalt. Ship tips over at Edinburgh Dockyard. The Leshan giant Buddha, completed in 803 AD in Sichuan, China, was the world's largest statue for almost 1,200 years until the Soviet monument The Motherland Calls overtook it in 1967. It remains the only statue built before 1900 to rank among the 50 tallest statues in the world. This sparkling new Hubble image shows the brilliant globular cluster M14. Home to over 150,000 stars, M14 played host to a nova in the summer of 1938. A nova is a sudden stellar eruption, where a star's brightness increases by a factor of 10,000 in just a few days, before fading back to normal. Different types of mantis. A family friend has 2 dogs with extra back toes. The Petilia tablet from ancient Greece, circa 300 to 200 BCE, originally buried with a human body. This totenpos, a passport for the dead, is supposed to provide the dead with special privileges in the afterlife. The inscription also tells them where to go and what to say after entering the underworld. Purple grape agate, an incredible semi-precious stone with great depth and detail, accented it with emerald leaves and wrapped it in copper. Arc de Berra, Tarragona, Spain, photographed by Juan Laurent, 1866 to 1867, built around 13th BC and still stands today. Scythian silver amphora, 4th circa BC. Found in nature is a series of beautiful compositions that tell compelling stories about beach trash. Barry collects previously discarded junk along the coastal areas of New York Harbor, then curates and orders the objects by color, type, and / or theme. Artist Barry Rosenthal. Found this super cool card with some sewing needles inside in my garage. They were probably my grandma's. Picture of a condo that was handed out at my campus health clinic. You've been preparing for this your whole life. When the North Koreans captured USS Pueblo, Asia 2, they turned her into a floating museum. When she was moored on the Taedong River, the North Koreans maintained the port side, the side seen by tourists, pristine. The starboard side was allowed to rust out. She has since been moved to Pyongyang. Using my resting heart rate, you can see the exact day I quit my ADHD medications fully, February 10th. This minute filefish's colors, camouflaged in the tentacles of coral polyps. I found where the wind is not blowing in the middle of a windstorm. Every year I put together a family portrait of our solar system using images captured from my backyard. Here is this year's effort. Mina is a 20-kilometer square tent city near Mecca, where people stay overnight during the annual Hajj pilgrimage. It's 100% fire resistant and air-conditioned tents, each of 8 by 8 meters, provide temporary accommodation to 3 million pilgrims. Albert Peera Point was England's main sectioner for 25 years up to 1956. He hung somewhere between 450 and 600 people. He later said, "All the men and women whom I have faced at that final moment convince me that in what I have done, I have not prevented a single murder." Picnicking 101 tip. Wasps and hornets will leave you alone if you put some lunch meat out at the end of the picnic table. They vastly prefer the protein over the sugar in the fruit. Mango slice. An example of sexual heterochromia in a cat, a genetic mutation that causes one iris to contain two completely different colors. This is a subtype of heterochromia iridis, which basically can be translated from Greek into different colored irises. Tar steps, a clapper bridge in Exmoor National Park, UK. A clapper bridge is formed by arranging urge slabs over stacks of stones. No mortar or cement is required. This bridge is thought to date back to the Bronze Age, and each slab weighs between 1 to 2 tons. An amateur photographer, Peter Sabel, embarked on a 2-year quest to capture the kingfisher essence after become totally immersed in watching the majestic bird, which dives into the water for its prey at up to 25 miles per hour. This is Peter Sabel's Mona Lisa, the perfect shot of a kingfisher. Mary Mullen, infamously known as Typhoid Mary, was the first asymptomatic carrier of the pathogen S. typhi in the US. She had infected 53 people, 3 of whom died. Despite infecting almost everyone she worked for, she never believed she had the disease. She died after nearly 30 years in quarantine. After losing a bet at a bar in 1956, Thomas Fitzpatrick stole a plane from the airport and landed in front of the downtown New York City bar while intoxicated. 2 years later he was telling someone about it, and they didn't believe that he had actually done it, so he did it again. Dick Bum, one of the most decorated American fighter pilots and the country's top flying ace in the war during World War II, also a Medal of Honor recipient. Victoria, Queen of the United Kingdom, at Balmoral Castle in Scotland, with her son Albert Edward, Prince of Wales, right, and Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, left. Seated on the left is Alexandra, Tsarina of Russia, holding her baby daughter Grand Duchess Olga 1896. Researchers find 20,000-year-old human footsteps in New Mexico. This shows you the presence of people as early as the Ice Age. A bar of soap in my hotel bathroom with a message to people being trafficked and probably frosty-toothed / sensually exploited. This old building in Bull Ground, Georgia is founded on marble blocks. This area was / so rich in marble that it was actually cheaper to build with marble over concrete. Ewan McGregor's brother, Colin, was an RAF pilot, and his call sign was Obi-2 in reference to Ewan playing Obi-Wan in the Star Wars franchise. His brother also had a non-speaking part in Trainspotting 2. The odd-looking Mary River turtle with strands of algae on its head, rocking the perfect punk hairstyle. The Mary River turtle is a large freshwater turtle native to the Mary River in Queensland, Australia. Some specimens can reach more than 50 centimeters in carapace length. Known as the loneliest place in the world, the Stannard Rock Lighthouse is located in the northern half of Lake Superior. The nearest land, Manitou Island, is situated about 40 kilometers to the northwest. 28 years ago, Russia cancelled its Buran space shuttle program and abandoned several buildings at Site 112 at the Baikonur Cosmodrome spaceport. We hiked 80 kilometers across the Kazakhstan desert, mostly at night, to see it all up close. Hand-drawn banknote by counterfeiter Emanuel Ningarakachim the penman. He began counterfeiting in 1878. He wasn't caught by the USS until 1896, when he paid a bartender with a $50 banknote. The note got wet, and the ink began to smudge. There are only 20 to 30 examples left out an estimated 700. According to the Guinness Book of Records, the anechoic chamber at Orfield Laboratories in Minneapolis is the quietest place in the world, with a background noise reading of -9.4 decibels. If you chatted with someone, your speech would measure around 60 decibels on a sound level meter. This is not a trick. The figure on the right has been painted with Vanta Black coating, one of the darkest coatings known, absorbing up to 99.965% of visible light. The original Vanta Black coating was grown from a chemical vapor deposition process, CVD, developed by Surrey Nano Systems. It's really fascinating what an iPhone can capture through a telescope. This is a photo of the moon that I took with my phone and telescope just a few weeks ago, and it's my most detailed image of the moon so far. The Swedish warship Vasa. It sank in 1628, less than a mile into its maiden voyage, and was recovered from the seafloor after 333 years almost completely intact. Now housed at the Vasa Museum in Stockholm, is the world's best preserved 17th century ship. Knife grinders laying face down at work to save their backs from being hunched over all day. They were encouraged to bring their dogs to keep them company and also to act as heaters to keep them warm. France, 1900s. Keeper André Borma, comforting Dakasi the gorilla in her last moments, passed away on September 26. André has been taking care of her since 2007, when she was orphaned as a baby after poachers killed her family. The most expensive painting ever sold by a US artist. It is by Basquiat and called Untitled. It sold for $110.5 million. Cranioplasty in ancient Peru. An elongated skull with metal surgically implanted after returning from battle, estimated to be from about 2,000 years ago. The shattered bone that surrounds the repair has been tightly bonded together, indicating that the procedure was effective.